This conference will now be recorded.
Hi everyone, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. So let's complete our last server in Linux administration, that is web server. It's this very interesting server, guys, because we deals with web pages every day in, day out. We work with that normally on websites and all, right? So it makes us more comfortable with this server, one of the very interesting server this concept will give us. So web server is basically used for hosting websites. Let us say that I have a website and I want to run it on internet. So I need a machine that can host that website. Basically, web server can be termed as two things. The physical machine that holds the website is also called as web server. And the software that hosts the website, that is also called as a web server. So we have different types of softwares, guys. Like you have Apache, the very common web server we use, Apache, Tomcat, and all. And nowadays we also have Nginx, right? So whatever software it might be, but the workability is almost similar. Basically, people through internet will hit to our web server, and in return, they'll be getting the websites. And as you know, nowadays, guys, these websites have become very important because everything, most of the time, we are doing online. Like your e-commerce industry is there on Amazon or Walmart. You purchase many things online, isn't it? So how is it happening that through a website, I'm able to search something, I'm able to check availability of the product, and I'm making purchases, transactions. Even on banks, we do financial transactions, right? So how is it possible? See, this web server, an application server, they works in a tiering form, three tier. So on first tier, you'll be having your web server and an application server that would allow you to do transactions on the website. And on the third tier, you will have a database server attached to it. It can be MySQL, Oracle, Hadoop, whatever database you might be using, SQL or NoSQL database. So that might be attached to the background that stores the history of your transactions and all. So again, the first tier, we need to have web server to host a website. In the background, applications and database server will help us to make a e-commerce or any transactional based websites that might be working. So first step would be going with web server. Anyway, now let's move ahead and see the profile to build an Apache web server. So in order to go with Apache web server, the package that is required is HTTPD, right? And the port number is 80 in case you are working with HTTP. Now in your course, guys, I have also added one more layer of web server, which I don't used to teach earlier, HTTPS also, right? So HTTPS, I forgot to mention over here the port number. The port number for HTTPS is 443. So these are the default port numbers that you should remember. 80 is for HTTP and 443 is HTTPS. HTTPS is a secure website where the information that you pass on that website will be secure. It won't be visible to anyone if the hacker or someone is around our website. So that makes it secure website. Anyway, we'll talk about it when we go to HTTPS section. The configuration file for HTTP is etc httpd conf httpd.conf, whereas for HTTPS the configuration is etc httpd conf.d ssl.conf, and there is a sample configuration from where we have to copy the data. It's in usr share doc httpd vhosts.conf, and the main configuration directory in which you can put all website configurations. See, till Red Hat 6, when we used to work with websites, we used to put all websites configuration just in one single configuration file, and that used to be very messy. From Red Hat 7 and 8, the new version of HTTPD has very organized itself. Now what they are asking us is to keep separate configuration file for each website we are holding in etc httpd conti. So every website now we can maintain a separate configuration that is very well organized, and one website failure will not affect other website. That is a good thing. And where we will keep the website data? The website data will be kept in the document root var www html. See, the folder name HTML is used because usually the websites are designed in HTML, hypertext markup language. That's the reason the folder name is HTML to relate it. But actually the main folder is var www. Just excuse me for a moment, guys. Okay. And the service that must be running all the time is HTTPD. In case of normal HTTP. In case of HTTPS, it should be HTTPS services. Anyway, we'll talk about that. So let's do first the normal configuration of HTTP. Let me log in into the server. First of all, 40 will be treated as our server and 50 will take it as a client if required. So step number one, we are going to install HTTPD package first of all. Let it get installed, all the packages related to HTTP. This will take a while to finish the installation. Oh yes, so you see it's completed. Now I just want to test, guys, whether my HTTP services will be working or not, or will it have any issues kind of thing. To test, you can just start the services systemctl status httpd. As you see, the Apache HTTP server is inactive. So let me start it systemctl enable now httpd. Also, you need to add http in firewall. So let us check it out in firewall. We don't have http added, so let me add it. I'll say firewall cmd add service http, and I want to make it permanent. Now you have to reload the services firewall cmd reload. Now you just check it out, the service is up. So service is active, firewall is also allowing the service. I'll take a browser, and through the browser I'll try to connect to my website using HTTP. So let me just power on my Mozilla Firefox browser. You can take any browser you like. So I'll type http colon double slash 192.168.10.40. That is my server address. And you see I'm able to get a test page. Now this test page is defining that your web services are working fine, and we have not designed our own website. That's the reason we are getting the test page. Now if you design your own website and keep it in var www html folder, it is going to display our website whatever we have designed. But the thing is, guys, I'm sorry, we are not a proper web designer, aren't we? At least I'm not the proper HTML programmer, so I don't know how to design a website and all that thing very nicely. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create a very simple and basic web page just with one message so that my message is displayed whenever I come to this website. So how to design? We'll go to the document root. Where is the document root? It's in var www html. Let me go to this location, and here we have to create one basic page. Normally every website, or in fact every web page, requires a basic page called index.html. For testing, if we design this much, this is more than enough. Anyway, we'll have web designers who will be designing the website. When they give the content, we have to just copy it over here. So I'm going to create a simple index.html. This file will have HTML extension. Now inside it, I'll start with tag. See, HTML starts with tag, open tag, close tag. So I'm just using one heading tag. H1 is nothing but heading 1. I'm just giving one simple message, my simple website. That's it. I don't want anything extra. To open a tag, within the tags, you have to give a name. To close a tag, you have to start with slash, and then within the tags, you have to mention the same name. That's it. Let me save and quit. Now I'll be going to configuration file. See, we also need a separate configuration file for this website. Now, as I told you, there is a sample document from where we can copy and create a config file. The same way how yesterday we create FLZ, RLZ config, same way. So there is a configuration file in USR, share, doc, httpd, and httpd vhost.conf. This is the sample config file. One time we have to copy it. Where? In the config directory, etc httpd conf.d. Now this is the directory where all websites configuration, whether it is HTTP or HTTPS, we have to keep it over here. Now with what name? I don't want to keep it with the same name. I'm copying it, but I want to keep it with a different name. I want to use a simple small name. So I'll use msw.conf, my simple website.conf. I just wanted to give a small name. That's it. It is copied. Now I'll go to etc httpd conf.d and msw.conf. So I'm editing that file. Now this file has lots of sample data. I don't want to see all. So what I can do here is I can delete all these stuff. I just keep the last paragraph. That is more than enough for me. Now, as my remembrance, I'll put a heading over here that this data belongs to my simple website. Now, as I'm starting with hash, that means that line is commented. It is not going to affect anything in the configuration. Now, first thing, it is asking you what website, what IP this website will be using. Now you can leave it star if you don't want to mention any website, let it be any IP. So it can use any IP. But if you are giving a specific IP, let's say that this website should work only on a specific IP, then you have to remove that star and you have to mention the IP address on which this website should work. So in my case, I want it to work on an IP 192.168.10.40. Now, who is server admin? Guys, if you don't want to give that server admin details and all, that is fine. But if you give, it is good because then any errors are there, it would be reported to you, right? So I'll say server admin I want to make is root at mlinux40.vpts.com. So I'm just giving my email address kind of thing. So if anyone wants to contact, they'll be contacting on that email address and report us any issues. Document root. Now, which website to be displayed if people reach out to this IP address or hostname? So I'll say display the content that I have kept in var www html folder. So whoever comes to 192.168.10.40, they will be able to see the website what we have kept in var www HTML location. Now server name. Now guys, when it comes to server name, here, if you have purchased a proper domain, then you can put your website address here, like www.qdev.com, something like that, right? But you have to purchase it and you must be hosting this website on a proper public IP, and this server must be connected to public network. Then people through public network can contact to your website and they can view. So I haven't purchased any domain. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to simply use my machine name mlinux40.vpts.com. Now, how do you want to store the logs? See, there are two logs. One is called as error log. If there are any errors, it stores the history of errors. And the other one is custom logs. So custom logs will keep the history that who has visited your website. It will keep a count, how many visitors visited, what were their IP address from which they have logged in or they have connected to my website. So how do you want to store it? I will remove that dummy host name and I'll call it with a very simple name, MSW error logs. And here also I'm going to remove it and I'll say MSW access log. So MSW error log will store this website error logs, and MSW access log will store the information about how many people have accessed my website. Okay, let me save and quit. Now, if I take you to var log httpd, so far I have general access log and general error log, which store all website access and error logs. But as soon as I reload the service, see, services of HTTPD is already running. So I'm just going to reload the service one more time. Now, if I just revisit it, did you see automatically MSW access log and MSW error log got created? Now this will hold different information related to your website. So my website separate logs will be maintained over here. I don't have to search it in a general log. If there is a problem with my website, here I will search. If I want to see how many people have logged into my website, here I can search. So every website we can maintain separate logs like that. If you don't want separate logs, then don't type those two lines. Delete those lines from the configuration. So all logs will be generated here only, no separate logs. Anyway, now if I go back to my browser and let me refresh this page, did you see instead of that sample document, now I'm able to see my simple website, the heading what we have created. See, I don't know HTML programming, so I just went with this thing. If you know HTML programming, then you can design the way you want. All right, fine. Now moving forward, next thing, I might have multiple web pages. I won't be having just one page, isn't it? A website might have multiple pages. How to design second page, third page, fourth page, or any alias page of your website. So in order to go with alternate pages, we need to create more directories in our document root. I'm already in var www.html folder where I have index.html. So if I have another page to design, second page data, I'm going to keep it in a separate file, separate directory. Suppose I'm going to call this directory name as pg2. So I created second page directory. Now that page should also have index.html. How can I copy it? Just copy it here, paste it into that folder and make necessary corrections. That's it. So I'm going to say copy index.html and put it into page 2. Go to page 2 and edit this file and make necessary changes. For example, my simple website page number 2 or whatever data you want to add it. Now this information we also need to pass in our configuration file. Where is the configuration file? etc httpd conf.d. and the file name is msw.conf. Go to this file and pass a new line anywhere you like. I'm passing over here. The keyword I have to use is alias. Every second page, third page, fourth page, fifth page, whatever you might be using, you have to use alias to represent alternate pages. So I'll say alias. If people type anything, see after IP, people must type after IP or after website name, people must type something to reach out to your second page. Now it can be any keyword of your choice. For example, I want to call it /2, or you can say /qdev, or you can say /sat, something, whatever you want. Whatever you are writing here, people must type this exactly same thing after you type the IP or host name. Now, if people type any such thing, where do you want to take them? I want to take them to var www html pg2. So after IP, if someone types /2, it is going to take us to this particular page. Now let me save and quit. Now, any changes in the configuration, you can just reload the services. Now, go back to the browser. Here is your 40. If you refresh, you're still on simple page. Now, if I type /2 after it, so you see it is taking you to page number 2. Only 40 will keep us on first page. /2 will take us on second page. That's how this is going to work out. All right, fine. Now guys, maybe I don't want to reach out by IP. I want to reach out by name. Now, if you want to reach out by name, guys, this website should be hosted on public domain like AWS instance or Azure instance, or maybe you can purchase a public IP from your internet provider and use that public IP on your uh, machine, what you have in your data center, and you can use it for hosting your website. Then people can reach out by names. But guys, if you still want to see the name connectivity, then what we can do is we can take two machines in the same DNS. Like yesterday, we configured the DNS on 40 and we made 50 as a client. And we tested from 50 by typing name, I am able to resolve it. So what I'll do, I'll take 50 as a client, which is in the same DNS. And from the client, I'll take a browser and I can connect with name. So if not on public, even in private network with the help of DNS, I can resolve names. So for this, I'll be logging graphically into our machine. So let me just go into this and maybe I can log in as my user. There is no problem because I just need a browser. So doesn't need an admin login. You can log in with any user. So let's wait for it to give me access as my user. So you remember yesterday we have already tested this. We made a DNS on 40 and we tested the client also. So I don't have to do that testing again. Second, let me take a browser. It might take a little time to get activated as we have given a little less RAM and CPU compared to production machines. So it might run a little slower. Okay, now I'll simply take a new tab. And over here, I can type my host name. What is the host name? mlinux40.vpts.com, or just you can type mlinux40 also. So you see it's taking us to my simple website. And if I say /2 it is taking us to second page. So this is the way you can also connect with names within your DNS, right? Okay. Now let us say that sometimes I wanted to redirect a web page. Suppose one of my website is down or maybe under construction. So while it's under construction, if anyone reaches to that page, I want to take them to some other location. How can I take them to some other location? You don't have to create any HTML documents for this. Just go to etc httpd msw.conf and pass one parameter here called redirect. When to redirect? Suppose when people reach out to 3. Where to redirect? Any website. For example, I want them to go to https www.virtualpathtech.com. My organizational website, I want people to reach out that location. Any website it might be of your choice. Let me save and quit. Now, any changes in the config, you must reload the services. Now, I'll take that browser that gives me internet connectivity because I'm going to external website. So 10.40 is giving me simple website. /2 is taking me to second page. Now, same way, if I type /3, you see where it is going to take us. So as soon as it is /3, it took us to HTTPS website. That's the other website of my own. So I'm able to work out like that. This is the way, guys, how you can redirect a website to any location of your choice. Now, whatever we did so far is one of the simplest things, guys. Now let's try to learn little more extra, something that can really save some money for you if you are trying to host a website on your own. See, we have a concept called virtual web hosting. Now, what is that virtual web hosting and in what case virtual web hosting is useful? Let's try to understand that. This is some advanced concept in web hosting. See, guys, let us say that I have an IP address 192.168.10.40. Assume this is a public IP. Now, guys, as you know, all the websites on internet will definitely be hosted on public IP. And usually we purchase a static IP for our own. Many companies purchase the static IPs by paying a good amount, right? So when you purchase a static IP, if you have 5 websites to host, in that case, you have to purchase 5 public IP, isn't it? One IP for each website. See, for big organizations, they can purchase as many public IPs as they want. They have money. But the people like you and me who thinks about economy, we want to save something. So for us, purchasing 5 public IP and paying the rent monthly or quarterly or yearly, I don't want to land into that trouble. So what I want is on a single public IP, I wanted to host multiple websites. So how is it possible that I can host multiple websites on a single IP? It is possible by using virtual web hosting. And there is two very popular virtual web hostings are there which are used. The first one we are going to learn is port based. So what happens in port based? See, port based, we use IP address exactly same, and we use port number 80 for this particular website, and we are going to host our first website. Now let us say I have another website, so I'll be using IP address absolutely same 10.40, no change. But instead of using the default port, I might use some other port number like 8080. You have to choose a custom port above 1024. Till 1024, the port numbers might be used. So usually in an organization when you are working, you have to choose a port number above 1024 because that is called as custom port. From 1024 till 65,000, you can choose any number of your choice. So I am using 8080 as 80 represents HTTP. So 8080 will easily represents HTTP again. Now over here, I'll be hosting my second website. Same way, if you have one more website, you can go with 192.168.10.40 and maybe I'll use 80.81. That's the way I'll host my third website, then fourth website, then fifth website. Like that, you can host as many websites as you want. Okay, let us see how to configure a port-based website. So in order to configure a port-based website, this is completely new website what we are designing. So I'll first of all go to the home directory var www. Here is HTML. I don't want to touch it because already it is holding one website data. I don't want to disturb it. So I'm going to create another folder. Maybe the name I want to use here is port or whatever name you want to use. That's your choice. So I'll be using that particular name, port, and inside that port folder there is nothing. So I'm going to copy index.html again. I'll say copy, go to HTML folder, get index.html and put it into port folder. Now go to port folder, you will find index.html, use index.html and make necessary correction. Now over here I'll say my port based website or whatever name or whatever data you want to mention. So what we did in var www, we created a new folder and inside it we created a document root. Now it's time to create a separate configuration file for it. So I'll go to etc httpd conf.d folder. Now last time we created msw.conf. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to copy it, copy msw.conf with some other name, whatever name you like, but extension should be .conf mandatorily. Open port.conf and do necessary changes. First of all, I'll change the heading for my reference. It is my port-based website. IP address is going to be same, but the port number I'm going to use here is 8080. Server admin is going to be same, no change. Document root for this website will be var www port, the folder what we have created and where we have kept the data for our second website. Now I don't need this alias line, I'm deleting it. I don't need redirect line, so I'm deleting it. Server name is going to be absolutely same, no change, or if you have other name, you can use other name over here. Error logs, instead of MSW error log, I'm going to call it port error. Access log, port access, right? Now, one more thing you have to do. See, you have decided on your own that you are going to use port number 8080. See, you have to tell the configuration that now onwards, you have to listen port number 8080. Normally, when you install HTTP, HTTP is configured to listen only port number 80. So either in the main configuration or in website configuration, you need to pass a parameter called listen. And here you can type listen to port number 8080. When you say listen 8080, then Apache will know that, okay, I have to open one more port for website configuration. If you don't pass this parameter, Apache will never allow you to work with port number 80, even though 80, even though you have mentioned it over here. So first we have to open the port either in this config file, or you can go to the main config etc httpd conf httpd.conf. So I told you earlier, all the major changes we have to do, we used to do in that file only. What is the location? etc httpd conf httpd.conf. This is the main configuration file. So you have to go to this file and pass the parameter, or in this configuration what we have created, you can also pass the configuration. So I have made the changes. Now you see, when I say netstat-ntlp grep for http or httpd, so you see httpd is listening to port number 80. But if I reload the service now, systemctl reload httpd, see, it's working now with port number 80. But still, you will not be able to use that because your firewall is allowing only the service HTTP. See, in firewall, when you say allow HTTP service, it only grant access to 80. Here what we did, we have enabled a customized port. So in firewall, you should also allow that customized port to be connected. If you don't allow customized port to be allowed, then firewall will continue to block port number 80. So how to allow a specific port number in firewall? We have learned that firewall command add port with 8080 respect to TCP, and it should be a permanent change. Then I'll go with firewall command reload. Now you go and list all. So you'll find that port number 8080 is now allowed to connect. So take a browser, go to 10.40. I'm getting a simple website. But after IP, if you give colon 8080, so usually you don't have to do 8080 kind of thing. In your hardware firewall, there is a concept port forwarding. So in your data center, if you just tell your network admin that I want this port number to be forwarded to that, so people who are coming with a specific name will be redirected to 8080. That networking team will handle. But anyway, in our case, I'm typing that port number. So you see my port based website. That is what is being displayed. So if you go with normally 40, simple website, colon 8080 has brought you to my port based website. Same thing, you can test it with your graphical connectivity, on your client side also. If you give only the name, it takes you to simple website. But if you add colon 8080, you see it is taking you to port based website. All right. Now, in this scenario, guys, most of the time people has to remember the port numbers with which we have to connect to a website. Now, I don't really want people to remember the port number. So we have one more choice, and which is very favorite, name based virtualization. So what is that name based? See, in name based, we will keep IP address again same, no change. And in fact, we'll always work with default port numbers. We'll not change the default port number from 80 to anything else. What is the name I'm using here for my website? It is mlinux 40. Now, if I have one more website, I'll use IP address the same, port number the same, but instead of mlinux 40, can I use some other name? Maybe I'll call it mywebst or myweb, that's it. Or if I have one more website, I'll say 192.168.10.40, port number 80, and here maybe I'll use mydev, something like that, right? So using names are simple, isn't it? People does not have to remember the port number, and names are very easy to remember and very common in website hosting. So this become very favorite. So in this scenario, all these names with the same IP address, you should be updating in your public DNS. See, when you purchase a public IP or a domain name, you have to register your domain with some public IP. So you can register multiple names to same IP with the help of your ISP or your domain provider. Anyway, in our case, as it is our private website, I'm going to update all these names in DNS. You remember yesterday we created forward reverse zone. So in forward reverse zone, I'll pass one more name with this IP. So let's prepare the DNS first. So I'll be going to var named my.flz. So I'll go into FLZ. See, here is mlinux 40. So I'm just going to copy that line and paste it below. IP remains same. And here, maybe I'm going to call it my dev, something, my dev, and the website name is that, right? Now, same change I have to do in reverse file. So this time I'll go to RLZ. Again, copy the line of mlinux 40, paste it below. Keep the IP same and change it to my dev.vpts.com. Guys, any change in the configuration, you must reload the service. Which service? DNS service. Many people do mistakes here that still they reload HTTP and find DNS is not updated. So please don't do that mistake. You have updated DNS file, so reload DNS service. Now you say NS lookup 192.168.10.40. So it says 10.40 has two names, mydev and mlinux 40. So mlinux 40 we have already used for some website. I'm not going to disturb it. MyDev, I'll use it for our new website. So first we have prepared the DNS. Same thing you have to do if it's a public website. Public DNS needs to be updated through your domain provider or your ISP who's provided you public IP. Anyway, next thing what I'm going to do out is I'm going to prepare a new document root. So I'll go to var www. Last time we created port folder and copied index.html. This time also I'll create another new folder and I'm going to copy index.html. Or you can play a little smarter this time. See, already port folder has index.html. Why not to copy the total folder? It gets copied with its data. So I'll say copy recursively whatever is there in port folder with a new name called name. So you see a name folder is created. If you go into name folder, you'll automatically find index.html. Let's open it for editing and let's make the change. I'll call it my name based website. Save and quit. Let's go to configuration directory where it is etc httpd conf.t. Last time we created port.conf. Let me copy port.conf and create a new file name.conf. Open name.conf. First of all, let's make the change in the heading. I'll call it my name based website. I'll come to that listen part later. First of all, let's remove that extra 80. I want this website to be connected on port number 80 only. Now, last time we changed the port number. This time we are going to change the name. Wherever the old name is there, replace it with new name. So I'll say that this website admin should work with my dev.vpts. Here also my dev.vpts. and the website to be displayed is kept in var www name. Logs, I'm going to say name error and name access. All right. Now, last time, as we were using a special concept, so we passed the parameter listen on port number 880. Now, this time also, I'm using a special concept that one IP should refer to two website by its name. Whenever old name is hitting, I need to go with old website. Whenever new name is requested, I have to go with new name. So how it can differentiate? See, you need to pass a parameter here called name virtual host. Observe here, N is capital, V is capital, and H is capital. So keep it exactly same. And then type which IP and port number you are virtualizing. So IP address with its port number. If you don't pass this parameter, whether you are going with old name or you are going with new name, doesn't matter. It is always going to display old website only. If you pass this parameter, then Apache understand that, okay, there are name virtualization going on. So based on names, I have to display the websites. So let me save and quit, and let's reload HTTP services now. Systemctl reload HTTPD. Now for this experiment, I should take that machine which can work with names. That means I have to go to 50, which is my DNS client. So go to your DNS client and just type the old name. So if you go with old name, that is mlinux40vpts.com, so you see I'm able to get old website. If you take another tab and type the new name, mydev.vpts.com, are you getting your new website? So old name is showing you old website, new name is showing you new website. That is how you can do this concept of virtual web hosting. See, when you go for a certification exam, they might ask you to configure any one of them, either port-based website or name-based website. So if there is configuration like that, you have to deal in this fashion. Now you don't have to do any DNS changes, just create a website, that is enough, right? If they ask name, mostly they might ask a port-based website to configure, so you know how to configure it. Any virtual website they have asked, we can configure either port-based or name-based. Okay, all right. Now let's see how to secure our website with HTTPS, the next important part. Nowadays, guys, since Red Hat 8, if you are planning to write a certification exam, they might also ask you, or in fact, they might ask for sure to build an HTTPS website also. Apart from normal website, we also need to configure HTTPS website. Now the question is, what is this HTTPS? See, HTTPS stands for HTTP secure. Now what makes it secure? See, if you are working with a bank website or e-commerce website, you want your sensitive data to be very much safe. Especially on bank website, you give your bank accounts, your passwords, your credit card details or debit card details, right? Or maybe it is your email website or any e-commerce or healthcare website. We want our data not to be leaked out or not to be hacked out, especially. So we use the secure content with the help of HTTPS. How we can make a website secure? See guys, there is an authority called Certification Authority. In short, we call it as CA, Certification Authority. Now, what this certification authority will do is you can request them to generate a secure certificate. So based on your company's request, what is your website name, which company it is associated with, what time it was established, all that detail they will gather, and they'll give you one SSL certificate. SSL stands for Secure Socket Layout. So it works very much same like SSH. You remember SSH class we learned that when you work with SSH, the data will be transferred in the form of encryption. So even though if a hacker is there, they won't be able to see what data we are exchanging. Same thing SSL will do with your website data. So in order to work with SSL, you need to generate a certificate. Now, this is not a course completion certificate or anything. This is SSL based HTTPS certificate, what they'll give you. And that certificate, when you install on your website will be secure, all the connections will be secure, and whatever data being exchanged between your website and your laptop will be safe. It won't be reflected openly to hackers and others. Now, guys, to get that certificate, you have to go to CA, or nowadays your domain providers like GoDaddy, SMB Buildrock, or Route 53. They themselves are taking the request and accessing to CA and gathering that certificate. And usually the certificate will be generated for 1 year. After a year or 2 years, as per your purchase, you have to renew it, right? If your website is found in fraudulent or something, they won't renew that certificate for you. So anyway, let's see how to do that. So we don't have any, what I can say, SSL based certificate generate. I don't want to spend money out for testing. So even in certification, what they want us is to generate SSL based certificate manually. We can do it for our private website if you want to make it secure within your organization you'll be using, but still you need secure environment. So we can generate something called self-signed SSL certificate. That means the certificate what you have generated or what you have created. See, normally if you go with unencrypted website, anybody can see what data you are typing, you are searching on that website. But if you go with encryption, this is what happens. It converts your searches, your inputs into encrypted information. So in order to configure an HTTPS website, we need to install few package. See, HTTPD we have already installed, so no need to install it one more time. We'll go with OpenSSL mod SSL packages, right? These thing is really important to install. OpenSSL and mod SSL. So let me go to our website and you can say, sorry, our web server, and you can say DNF or yum install OpenSSL mod SSL -y. So HTTPS actually works on OpenSSL concept. All right, so first step is completed. Step number 2, we have to generate a manual certificate for our requirement. Now this certificate will be encrypted and it would be generated using OpenSSL. SSL stands for Secure Socket Layout. It's always related to securing your things with encryption, right? So what we will do, we will just generate a certificate, right? So this is the syntax, guys, how we will generate a certificate. I'll say OpenSSL, we request to generate an encrypted security module 509, that is the module name, nodes for my machine, for how many days you want this particular website, this certificate to be valid. So I'll say it should be valid for 365 days. This is a new key. and I want it to be RSA based, and the encryption format should be 2048 bit. See, you can go with 256 bit, 512 bit, 1024 bit, but the most strongest is 2048 bit. So I want to generate a strongest encrypted thing. And where I want to keep the key. See, I have two things to be inserted in my website. One will be your secure key that has encrypted data. Whenever a web browser try to connect to a secure website, it will first find the key, that what is the encrypted key, and second thing, it will find certificate. So keys are same what we have generated. You remember SSH, we have RSA, public key, private key. Same kind of key will be generated here. And finally, we wanted to generate a certificate with the name CRT. So key should be generated with dot key, and this fellow should be generated with dot CRT. So I cannot remember the whole thing. Let me just copy paste it. Now it will ask you few questions what you have to answer. So first question it is asking is that for which country this website will be hosted from. So I'm in India. I'll just type IN as initial. If you're in US, you can type US. State, province where you are, again wherever state you are in. Locality where you are in, the city name. Organization name, suppose VPTS or whatever organization you work for. Organizational unit, this is nothing but department, guys. You may have different department, different website, like Amazon works with AWS also, Amazon works with amazon.com also, kind of thing, right? So maybe I'll say this is IT sector of my organization. Now, what is the name of your website for which you are going to generate this? So here you can use either your name or your website name. So suppose I'll say vpts.com is my website name. Email address, whatever email address you have, xyz at vpts.com, something like that. Now, you see your two keys are generated here, two files, I'm sorry, server.key and server.crt. Now these two things we will copy at some special place and we are going to use it for our website. So step number one, install the package. Step number two, you have to give the keys detail, whatever it is asking. Now step number three, see, these files we have to copy at different location. You need to copy server.crt in etc pki tls certs. Certs is the location where all certificates are copied. Okay, so let me do it. I'll say copy server.crt in etc pki tls and cert directory. Inside it, I'm going to copy it. Then we'll copy server.key to again etc pki tls and private. So both these locations you have to store the keys. Normally here we have generated the key, so we have copied it. When you purchase it from some key provider or certificate provider, they'll provide us these two things. So just download it and copy it into these two locations, certificate in certs folder and key in private key location. Now we have to go to SSL configuration and we need to mention these locations. I need to mention that where is the certificate that has to be validated for our website and where is the private key that is going to encrypt the data. So let us go to SSL configuration. As we have installed SSL, you will find in etc httpd confd automatically ssl.conf file will be there. Now we need to come here and look out for those two lines. what we have to add the information. So here you got those files. You see SSL certificate file and SSL certificate key file. So just here you have to mention the key what we have copied. So in certs, the key name is what? The key name is server.crt, and here the key file name is server.key. All right. Now almost all configuration is finished. We need to create a configuration file for our website. We also need to create a document root. So you can create a document root wherever you want. For example, I'm going to create, I'll go to var www. I'll not disturb it. Let me create a new directory with the name called secure. I'll go into secure and let me create index.html. I'll give heading with the name my secure website and let me close it. Okay, so document root is also ready. We need to create and configuration where we will create same place the configurations wherever we have kept it. The configuration location is etc httpd conf.d. Now last time we created msw conf, name conf, port conf. Same way I'll create my secure or my, yes, you can say mysecure.com, whatever. Now inside it, we have to put a data over here like this. See, first of all, we have to mention what is the IP and port number you are using for this website. SSL engine to be on, and what is the address of SSL certificate file and address of SSL key file, and what is the server name. Same configurations what we have given in the normal website, we have to repeat them. So let's copy out this thing. See, you need to practice this stuff 2-3 times to remember the content because there is no sample file to copy this data. So let me just paste it here. And if you want to mention any specific IP, you can mention the IP 192.168.10.40. SSL engine is on. SSL certificate location is this, certificate key file is this, and server name. So I don't have any domain purchased. Probably I'm going to use mlinux40.vpts.com, something like that. Or you can use any other name of your choice, but you have to pass that parameter then. For example, you can use whatever XYZ name. Document root is var www.html and secure folder. Now let me save and quit. See, any changes in the config, you have to restart or reload the services. All right, so let me go for it. I'll say systemctl reload httpd, and in firewall you must allow HTTPS, or in port you have to allow 443. If you don't want to allow HTTPS name, then allow port number 443. So I'll say firewall CMD add service HTTPS permanent firewall CMD real. See, HTTPS is also allowed. Now I'll take a browser and let me type IP address with HTTPS. See, this is self-signed certificate. This is not a certificate approved by certification authority, so it might give you a warning here. So it says it is potentially a risk to go ahead. So don't worry about it. It's false positive. So you have to go to advanced in advance, accept the risk and continue. So when you see it is giving you that dollar, but why this fellow is not visiting my website? One second. Where is the mistake I did? Oh, I made a small mistake in the config file. etc httpd conf.d and mysecure.com. Here the location is var www secure. It's not HTML. I'm sorry. Now let me reload the service one more time. Let's refresh it. Okay. So you see it is coming with a lock on the top. That means this particular website is now a secure website. Maybe you can also reach out from your DNS. You can say https mlinux40.vpts.com. Same warning you got. Go to advanced, accept the risk, and you are able to reach out a secure website, right? So that is it, guys, for your web server. Nowadays, with Amazon, AWS, and Azure coming into the picture, web hosting has become very simple. Probably we don't have to do all this stuff manually. There, if you give credentials, automatically in the background, things are getting created for us. Anyway, on a Linux machine, still, for the sake of certification, we have to learn this concept. So any questions are there, guys? You can put your questions.